Good afternoon. My name is Michelle Matter, and I'm the Director of Aging for the San Diego State University Center for Excellence in Aging and Longevity. Our mission is to spearhead efforts to meet the current and emerging challenges of healthy aging across the lifespan. Our focus areas include workforce development, longevity, age-friendly initiatives, policy, and research. We collaborate with local, state, and national partners to create and share best practices that ensure our diverse older adult population are living productive and meaningful lives. Today we are excited to welcome Charles Markham from DOROT in New York City, a nonprofit dedicated to providing programs and services for older adults with a focus on alleviating social isolation. Charles is manager of Onsite and Special Programs and is also an American Society on Aging RISE Fellow alumni. In his role, he has developed opportunities for lifelong learning, community building, and program engagement that is both culturally relevant and competent. Please help me welcome Charles to share the transformative power of creative arts and cultural programs for older adults.
Thank you so much, Michelle, really for that really warm introduction. And hi, everyone. I'm really honored, and it's a pleasure to be here with you all. So again, it's my pleasure to be here today with you all and talk about building inclusive communities through arts and cultural based programs specifically for older adults. And I just want to acknowledge some contributors to this presentation: Jana Barkin, who's an author and educator; Sakina Ibrahim, who's an author and educator; Natalia Mesa, who is a community engagement director at Ballet Hispanico; and DOROT participants and SAGE participants as well. So DOROT, Michelle already introduced, but again, is a nonprofit and social service with a mission to combat social isolation through life-enhancing programs and services for older adults specifically. And SAGE, I'll just mention, because I did this presentation before with one of my friends and colleagues from SAGE. It's one of the largest and oldest organizations dedicated to improving the lives of LGBTQ plus older adults, and does really fantastic programming. So I suggest you check out their programming as well. So today's learning objectives, there's 3 learning objectives. The first one is to identify some key benefits of engaging older adults in creative and cultural programs, including enhanced well-being, social connectedness, inclusivity, and intercultural understanding. Our objective 2 is to learn strategies and best practices for designing and implementing inclusive creative arts programming that caters to a diverse range of needs and interests of older adult participants. And then our third objective is to experience some of these initiatives and to discuss foster a deeper understanding of the use of arts and cultural program series to engage older adult communities. So why arts and culture? I always like to start with a personal story and my own connection to arts and culture. So I was born and raised in Springfield, Massachusetts, and had what seemed like a normal childhood. But for me, there was always a part of myself that felt different, felt like an outcast, felt like an alien. And what I would come to learn is that was connected to my sexuality. And I would eventually come out and identify as gay. And that wasn't readily acceptable in the city that I grew up in. Although I was supported by my family and friends, it wasn't readily acceptable in the community in which I grew up in. And so I always felt like this tug and pull of my identity and who I was and how I was presenting. And it wasn't until I discovered the arts after my mom enrolled me into a performing arts camp when I was around 12 years old that I found my people, I found my voice, and I found my power through this channel of arts programming. And my background is in dance. I got my degree in dance and business administration and went on to do work with a lot of nonprofits, really merging social services with arts and culture as a healing modality, as a way to build community and foster lifelong learning. So that was my own personal connection to to arts and culture programs. And I always like to share that at the beginning. And next, I want to share just a short video shared by a program that we had with Rev. Robert H. Thompson. And I think it just is a great way to start our program today and start my talk today about the real transformative power of arts and cultural programs. So I'll share that quickly.
We have something in common, and music undergirds it, it underscores it, it emphasizes it. It says, yes, here we can find that common place. Now, I don't know what you do at your work, and I don't really know how what I'm saying to you today could make it a difference of what you do at work. But what I am suggesting really is that whenever we feel alienated from another, whenever we feel that there's no reason or no hope that we can't move forward, we need to remember that we have something in common that is profoundly more significant than all those things that separate us. Somehow there's a truth that resonates from us as human beings that is more profound than gender difference or racial difference or culture. And somehow music reaches across all of that. And I love music for that.
So next, I want to talk about why creative arts and cultural programs, specifically with older adult communities. So first of all, the power. Arts and culture programs really recognize and amplify the heterogeneity within the group of older adults, recognizing that individuals hold their own unique identities, experiences, and perspectives, and encourage exploration of these differences. And I've experienced that arts and cultural programs can really neutralize the space and help transcend cultural barriers that can sometimes be difficult to negotiate. And they often create an entry common point into discussion, social engagement, and discussion for older adults. And they also offer opportunities for social interaction, multiple mental stimulation, and emotional well-being. And then through these collaborative activities, there is appreciation of each other's talents, engaging in meaningful communal learning, and allowing the breakdown of stereotypes while forming reimagined connections. And then what are we seeing, and what have I seen through my work in working with older adults in arts and cultural programs? So research shows that participation in arts and cultural programs improves older adults' quality of life and well-being, increasing cognitive functioning, memory, and self-esteem, and also fine motor skills, reducing stress, and also creating communities that can alleviate stress and isolation together. And there's really an importance of developing a point of view and sharing your point of view. And arts and cultural programs really offer a platform to do that, to share your lived experiences, to share the way that you see the world and the way that you've experienced the world through, again, this vehicle of arts and cultural programs. And by actively engaging in these programs, older adult communities have been able to open themselves up to diverse cultures, fostering meaningful cultural connections, and diving into the rich histories, historical narratives, personal experiences, and emotional connections that one another share. And also, I've really seen it help cultivate empathy and respect for others' perspectives. And that has been really transformative, to be in conversation and to build conversations around people's lived experiences. And then co-creation. The arts are a wonderful platform for co-creation, allowing people to develop and bring themselves to the table, allowing them to explore their artistic talents and to co-create communities that that speak to their needs and interests and wants and what they see in the world. So that is a little bit more about why arts and cultural programs, specifically with older adult communities. So I want to bring you through a little bit about program development. And that's been really key, to really think intentionally about how we develop our programs to make sure that they are culturally relevant, that they're inclusive, and that they really speak to the needs and wants of the community that we're serving. So the vision is really like the who, the duration, and the what. So we've been running short run program series or cycles for 4 to 8 weeks for older adult communities with interest in arts and cultural programs. And that has been ongoing series that cycle, or series that happen as special one-off programs kind of on a monthly, bi-monthly cadence. And this has been really successful for us in our communities. The theory behind these programs, kind of the how and the why, is that we really want them to be high touch and highly participatory, in a model that offers moments of discovery, delight, reflection, and engagement. And these programs are really designed to elicit social connections among participants and provide a platform to introduce new subject matter, fostering communal learning, building community and reflection on their life, their legacy, and their creative endeavors. And that's so important, to have space and opportunity to bring yourself and bring your lived experience to the program, and to be engaging through that. So really being high touch. So for instance, when we do our Zoom programming, we always allow 15 minutes before a program and 15 minutes after a program for people to come in, to connect, to socialize, to share what's going on in their world, just so that they're building community and they feel a part of it as well. And then always having a person dedicated to making sure that the conversation is engaging and that you're engaging with the audience throughout the program. So really thinking about that. So there's a couple of keys to development that we found: continuity and consistency, continuity across a series, and consistency. Is there a thread that carries the series through the series? And is there a timetable offering opportunity for ongoing engagement? Next, is there a commitment to vision? Are you speaking to the vision of your program and the vision of the older adults that you're serving? And are you trying to understand your audience? Do these programs reflect the needs and interests of your community? And are you taking to really time to understand your audience and what they want, and making sure that they feel a part of the conversation and feel a part of these programs? And also, it's really important for participants to have autonomy and agency and to feel empowered in these programs. And so to move away from this service provider model and make it more where the older adults or the community you're working with have kind of buy-in into the programs and allowing to share their feedback and their thoughts about how they envision their program to go. Okay, so I want to bring you through what I've called the program development and implementation cycle. And this is really thinking about the life cycle. Before, it's so important to be intentional about how you're building the programs so that, again, they are inclusive, they're relevant to folks, and that they speak to the needs and interests of the community that you're serving. So first things first is idea generation, brainstorming ideas for topics. And this can be done with your programming team. However, it's more important it's more impactful when you're doing this directly with the older adults that you're working with or the community that you're working with. And you can do this through surveying, through advisory committees, or other ways, touch-based ways to hear the ideas and thoughts of your community. The next step is clarifying your idea, really refining the topic and the content of the series to make sure that it's hitting your goals of what you want. And that's the next step, outlining your purposes and goals, establishing the objectives and goals of the series. Is it educational? Is it community building? Is it skill building? So really outlining the purpose and goals of what you want this program series to be. And then one of the most important things, I think, is finding the facilitators, identifying suitable facilitators for the program. Make sure that they are subject experts in the field that they're sharing, or make sure that they're connected to the community that they're sharing about. It's so important that you're amplifying authentic voices and experiences and skill through the facilitator that you are engaging with. You want to align your vision. So speaking with your facilitators, making sure that they have a clear connection to your vision of the program series or the organization or of the community, just making sure that they're aligned in that. And then the next thing is reviewing expectations. Again, reviewing expectations and the values of your agency, your organization, or your community to make sure that is amplified and lifted up. And then scheduling, which of course is kind of the nuts and bolts of it, making sure that you have that kind of all laid out. You have a clear schedule. It's a weekly program, it's a monthly series, just making sure that you have all of those nuts and bolts done. And then advertising, of course, promoting the series, allowing time for audience development, and thinking about who your audience is. Is it artists? Is it movers? Is it older adult communities? Is it educators? Whatever that is, you want to be really clear about who your audience is and then really targeting into that. And then just a little bit more about partners and facilitators. They're so important in terms of building your programs. So you really want to identify community partners and really in that pursuit of harnessing the power of arts and culture. We're really trying to be thoughtful about identifying partners, and our approach is really anchored in intention and commitment to developing top-tier programs for our community. And we want to seek community partners who not only possess expertise in their respective fields, but also that aligns closely with the vision of your programs or of your community. And diversity of your programs are important. You want to think about their shared experiences, their lived experiences, and what they can bring to the table. And we also want to kind of move away from this idea of transactional partnerships where the partnership feels mutually beneficial. So each part of the partnership is showing up to the table, feeling valued, feeling worthy, and feeling like they're really able to give themselves through the partnership. And then thinking about strategy in that partnership. What is the best way that's going to work? We don't limit ourselves to, we've been really fortunate in my work to work with partners that are large cultural institutions or educational institutions. But you don't want to just limit yourselves to that. There are so many arts and cultural institutions in your backyard that you can connect with, and identifying those folks is key in terms of really developing lasting and long partnerships that can really amplify your programming that you're creating with those communities that you're serving. Okay, so I wanted for you to hear from some of our facilitators, or one of our facilitators, Sakina Ibrahim, who is an author and educator. She's been leading some programs for us on dance and movement and bridging history and culture with that. So she did a series for us called Dancing the Diaspora, which explored how traditional West African movement has been changed and adapted throughout time and throughout history, and has gone from West African dance to social dance to hip hop and to other forms more contemporary. So you'll hear a little bit from her shortly from this, and then I'll kind of go into some of the programs, which I'm excited to share with you.
Based in Southern California. I'm so excited to share my work in creating community and centering the experiences of marginalized people through arts and culture, and cultivating the value of coming together in our human experience. The arts is what connects us to the heart. It allows us to transcend all of the boundaries, sort of, social political boundaries that we can face. The Dancing the Diaspora series is a workshop that really teaches Black culture and cultural heritage through movement and song. So we start with traditional West African dance, the Latin diaspora as well. Then we go into jazz, Lindy Hop, ballroom, swing, and then we go into present day hip hop culture. But the most powerful thing in this workshop is connecting the social political experience to the movement.
Dance and movement and arts are made for everyone. There's room to adjust to your needs and to your ability. The autonomy and the agency and empowerment that you get from being active is so beautiful to watch, that you have power within your body to create your own narrative and to change your narrative.
I really love what you said about changing the narrative of what it looks like to age. I think that there is a lot of misconceptions and miseducation and just things that we don't think about. Truth is, we're all going to age.
That's right. That's right.
We all do need to have access and resources and community in what that looks like, right? It's not getting old. It's really entering a new phase of life and entering a phase of our human experience. I feel so fortunate that my dance career, my dance life has allowed me to sit at the feet of elders, where if you want to learn and you want to be a master in your craft, and you have to find yourself in a position of being mentored, whether that was being the assistant to Senor Donna McHale, who is a pioneer in modern dance, and listening, watching. At this time, by the time I came around, he was in a wheelchair, right? But still working, still choreographing, still in the studio, still working through creative ideas and needing a body to do it. But luckily we have language, and the language of movement. A lot of their embodied experiences we carry with us, right? It's called epigenetics. And so by having a relationship, right, with our elders, you can learn more about yourself. I'm so grateful. I'm grateful for the love of arts and culture, right, that creates community and that brings us together.
Okay, so yeah, I wanted to share that that video because I really think it really speaks to the power of arts and dance and movement and building community, and also talking about the connection to your history and how we can amplify and lift up our history through arts and cultural programs, and continue that to share that through the arts and cultural programs that we offer. And so I wanted to just share that really quickly. So I wanted to bring you through some best practices for setting up these programs, and then we'll look at some programs samples, which is the most exciting part of all of this. So some best practices. You want to really structure your classes to include time for socializing. We, again, as I mentioned, build in time at the beginning of our programs and at the end of our programs for people to connect, to check in with each other, to ask questions, and to build community. We don't just want to offer the practice or the class, but we want to make sure that there is time and space for really building inclusive and enriching communities. Engaging your community before and after your programs. So touching base with them before, reaching out to them saying, we're excited to have you come to this, join this program. And then after, that can look like sharing a follow-up email with resources or materials or the PowerPoint deck that the presenter shared. It's just another touch point of building that high participatory community where people feel valued, they feel that you're checking in with them, and that they feel like they're a part of the community again. Introducing community guidelines is huge because you are sometimes navigating taboo subject matter. You are introducing new perspectives and new points of view and new ways to look at the world. And so you want to create a safer and more inclusive space to do that in, so that people feel like they can show up as their whole authentic selves. And so some of the community guidelines that we use are listening openly to one another, being present and aware of your surroundings, really trying to embody the values of compassion and respect in the interactions with one another, and then reframing from making assumptions or generalizations about one another, prioritizing confidentiality and inclusivity in our programming, and then fostering an inclusive space where diversity of all of our backgrounds, cultures, and identities are really honored and acknowledged. So really thinking about setting those community guidelines from the beginning so that there's clear expectations in your program. You want to use the program development life cycle that we talked about. And then last, really setting a framework that you can use to build continuity through your programs. I'll kind of skip through this stuff because I think it's more important for you to see some of the programs. But one of the things I'll just say that challenges, in terms of challenges, you want to be intentional about having conversations about what challenges you are seeing. And you want to be open and honest about those challenges and work with your community or work with your team to really address those challenges and to find ways to address those, right? Because again, it's all about building a space where people feel seen and heard and valued, and we want people to feel included. And so if you're negating or ignoring these challenges that are coming up, you're going to do yourself a disservice. It's really important to think about, again, how people can show up to your programs and to the community that you're building, and being transparent and open about that, finding ways to connect through getting feedback, and then really making ways to take that feedback and create actionable items to address that. Okay, so I want to go to the best part of this presentation, I think, is just looking at some of the really exciting programs that we've done here, but again, that you can take and do with your community. So the first one is a global music series that we've been running over 6 months. It's a concert series, one concert a month, featuring world-renowned musicians from all different cultural backgrounds. So we've had things like Afro-Caribbean music, West African music, klezmer music, Korean, mariachi, Palestinian, French octane, classical Indian. And it's been a way, not just performances, but it's been a way for our community to connect with the artists, to hear their history and their stories, to hear the lineage of the music and the instruments that they're bringing to the performances. And those are followed up with Q&As with the artists as well, so that there's engagement with the musicians as well. I'll skip through this. The next one is, we did in partnership with Sage, we did a LGBTQ plus film series. where we presented 4 films that are directly connected to topics or identities within the LGBTQ plus community. And we paired those with talkbacks, community talkbacks with either the film director or someone related to the community that's represented through the film. And we did this, I'll just quickly mention, we did this 2 virtual programs and 2 in-person programs. We did one at Sage and we did one at DOROT. And there was really intention behind that. We wanted to meet people where they were, meet people where they were comfortable as well. And so that was really important of providing that opportunity to do it in both spaces as well as virtually to reach more people. We've done a program with Ballet Hispanico. We've done 2 residency programs with Ballet Hispanico. And they have explored Latinx dance and movement. So we've done salsa and bachata and all different types of other movement forms with them. And then we capped that off with 2 conversation with their artists, where we got to hear from dancers or company members and hear their experience of bridging dance and movement and social justice all together, which has been really impactful. And then finally, we did this Meet the Artist series, which was an 8 session series that were curated talks by artists from all mediums and all diverse backgrounds. We got an inside view of their tour, of their galleries. We learned about their inspiration and their impetus for their work, and got to really dig into what inspires them, why they're creating, what's upcoming in their projects. But then we also opened it up for Q&A and allowed artists in our community to share work that they were doing, and to ask kind of working artists their process and progress, which was really cool. And because all of these artists came from all different backgrounds, we were able to build some cultural awareness, cultural understanding through this lens of art, which is really cool, visual art, which is really exciting. So I want to share this quote, which I think really kind of speaks to the impact that art can have in terms of building inclusive communities and also building connections amongst older adults. So one of our participants shared, "I love the walking art tour in Spanish Harlem. It created an opportunity to visit and learn about the vital New York City neighborhood, its history, arts, politics, and culture, giving me insight into the crucial role played by migration and the ever-changing vitality of New York City. Equally important, it was another opportunity to make new friends from DOROT. I'm grateful for the vision of connecting with other organizations." And this is very New York centric, of course, because it's connected to a program that we did here. But again, tap into your network, tap into your arts and cultural institutions in your city, and find ways to connect and build partnerships with them. And you'll be surprised, a lot of these organizations, arts and cultural organizations, will work with you to do programming that's free or reduced prices. And again, there's so much history and culture growing in your backyard. So don't be afraid to kind of reach out to your organizations around. And then this last quote, because I really want to hear from you all and hear your questions and thoughts, which again, I think sums up this idea of building cultural understanding across different cultures. So one of our participants shared this: Jewish tradition holds that each generation is saved by 36 righteous people. I feel like I might be in the presence of one of them. Thank you for sharing the African-American experience in such a visceral and beautiful way. And that came after one of those Meet the Artist talks with an artist named Glory B, who really talks about her experience as a woman of color growing up in Brooklyn and being an artist. So to have that conversation around identity was so important and impactful, and I'm glad it really resonated. So with that, I want to say thank you for having me here today.